Hi, I'm Ainsley McClellan. This is our Montreal. On the show today, with motorcycle crashes on the rise, an advocacy group wants to help riders improve their skills. We'll meet the winner of the CBC Startup Fest pitch competition, and we'll talk to author Mauricio Segura about his fictional account of Oscar Peterson's life. That's coming up on Our Montreal. In this digital age, there are so many things competing for kids' attention that it's increasingly hard for them to just be in the moment. But a Montreal startup hopes technology can also be the solution. Rekha Magon developed an app called The Mindful Scholar. It uses mindfulness exercises to teach children to develop emotional intelligence. And Rekha has just won the CBC Startup Fest pitch competition with her idea, and she joins us in studio. Hi, welcome to Our Montreal.
Thank you so much.
So when we talk about emotional intelligence, what do we mean?
Emotional intelligence really means, having children to be able to deal with how to be more calm, how to be more concentrated, how to develop more interpersonal skills, how to have more empathy, self-confidence. So really dealing with, the child on the inside, the inner being of the child.
I think probably a lot of parents will be listening thinking that all sounds like a really good thing.
Yeah.
How do mindfulness techniques help with that?
Absolutely. So mindfulness really brings a lot of self-awareness to a child. So, bringing awareness to, hey, why am I feeling this way? Where am I feeling those sensations in my body? How can I better deal with these emotions and center myself again?
Okay. So how did you come up with the idea for this application?
So when I was pregnant with our first child, I was working at KPMG as a senior auditor. And at one point, I was put on very strict bed rest. So strict to the point that I had to basically always be lying with my feet higher than my torso for 5 months. So I wasn't allowed to sit up even to eat a meal. I wasn't allowed to get up to go to the bathroom. And my husband and my brother are these tech guys. So they were able to find me this laptop stand that basically kind of hung from the ceiling. And there I was, in bed on my back. I was going to be a first-time mom. I knew nothing about parenting. But, laying in bed, the one thing I did know with all certainty is that I wanted to provide my son with the same meditative environment and mindful tools that I was given as a young child. So, kind of knew that with all my heart. And it hit me after like a week in bed rest is that, well, that's not fair. Why should it just be my son? All children in the world should have these same tools and techniques. So from then on, those 5 months, really with a laptop hanging on top of my head, were dedicated towards conceptualizing and develop the entire company. And now when I do like my mindfulness training sessions in schools with teachers, I always use that example because sometimes the biggest challenge that we have in our lives, that was the most challenging thing I've ever been through. Having to, go to the bathroom in a pan for 5 months, you lose all self-respect, self-esteem. But looking back, it is the biggest blessing that I've ever had because it enabled me to figure out, to just be quiet and not go to work, not to do dishes or laundry, and really just listen to that inner voice and, figure out what I'm really meant to be doing in this world.
You talked about the types of techniques that you had when you were growing up. What were you doing when you were growing up to help with that?
Sure. So as a child, we went to a lot of meditation retreats from a very young age. So we did, a lot of self-reflection, self-awareness, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling, a lot of meditation, and also just dedicating time, throughout the day or throughout the week to really just focusing on the inner self.
So how does the application work?
So the app basically serves as a mindful assistant, whether it's to a teacher or parent. One aspect is that they can choose between 21 different behaviors that a child is experiencing. And based on whatever behavior you choose, the app will suggest the top 3 mindful exercises to solve that problem right then and there. So the exercises are, 2 to 3 minutes. It could be one of our guided audio meditations. It could be a scripted lesson plan, or it could be an animation, a mindful Aussie animation.
So can you give me an example of a situation that a kid might be in and how the technique would help them?
Absolutely. So, for instance, if your child's having a meltdown, one of the exercises we do, it's called the mind globe. So, the app shows a mind globe, with Mindful Aussie sitting in the middle and says, okay, every time you're feeling angry, sad, or frustrated, it's like there's a storm happening in your mind, and all these snowflakes that are in the snow globe represent your thoughts and emotions. So let's just take 3 deep breaths and let's watch all those thoughts and all those emotions settle. And once you can see Mindful Aussie clearly again in the globe, your child can usually see the situation that he's in a lot more clear as well.
There is a lot of focus on breathing in this. I understand there was another one where you have a stuffed animal that's sort of sitting on the child's chest while they're thinking about breathing. How does that one work?
Absolutely. So another one we do is we have, the child lie down on his or her back, and we place a Mindful Aussie teddy on their belly. And then we say, okay, using your breath, we're going to rock Aussie to sleep. So breathe in, and Mindful Aussie rocks up, and breathe out, and he rocks down. And the whole concept there is, breath awareness and breath exercises are so powerful. But if you make it into a game and you make it fun for the child, not only are they getting the powerful lesson from the exercise, but they're also having fun at the same time.
So is this something that parents should be doing alongside their children while they're doing it?
I highly recommend it, yes. I think it's such a beautiful bonding opportunity as well for the child and the parent to collectively sit down and do these mindful exercises, and as well as for the parent to put your own cell phone aside, or to put, making dinner aside, or leave the dishes for an extra 10 minutes in the sink, but to just take those 2 to 3 minutes and just, take a deep breath with your child. It goes a long way, not only for your emotional state, your child's emotional state, but as well as for your family dynamic.
It's interesting you mentioned that about putting the cell phone aside, because we talked off the top about how technology contributes to a world where there's a lot of things that are grabbing for our attention. Why did you think that an application, something that people are going to be using their cell phones to do, would be the right tool, the right vehicle for this type of lesson?
So, great question. Technology, the way children are being brought up, they're so exposed to so much external stimulation. So initially I did have a tough time with that, is do I want to build an app to deliver this? But at the same time, you can use technology to your advantage, right? So why not create apps that remind parents and remind children to take the time to step aside and reconnect to themselves? So, using technology, you can reach so many more people and really make the whole process a lot easier and a lot practical. And it's a great reminder as well. It's a great way to say, hey, let's just take these 2 minutes and let's do an exercise.
And I guess it is something you can do at home as opposed to going out to a class or something like that.
Absolutely. I think the best way to implement mindfulness is in your everyday interaction. So, have a mindful exercise when you guys are having dinner as a family, or when your child's brushing their teeth, or having breakfast in the morning. Really incorporating it into, every moment of the day is, I think, when you really have a huge impact on a child.
What have you heard from parents and from kids who have been using it?
So a lot of parents and teachers alike say that their students and children seem to be a lot more calm, especially, at school when kids are coming back from recess or coming back from lunch and they're kind of just jumping off the walls. Teachers say they're a lot calmer, a lot more focused for the next lesson. Parents also say that their kids are learning more about empathy, how to put themselves in someone else's shoes, how to be more compassionate, and also helping as a whole with interpersonal skills. And I think on a larger scale, I think it'll have a huge impact on bullying, that whether it's cyberbullying or bullying in schools, I think it's a great way to tackle that.
So now that you've won the CBC Startup Fest pitch competition, what's next for you?
Next is launching our app that should be ready as of September. We're also integrating an AR version of the app where, Mindful Aussie in a 3D version could kind of come up and guide the children as well through the mindful exercises. So really just launching the app, pushing forward and trying to get this into as many homes and schools as possible.
Rekha, thanks so much for coming on to tell us about it.
Thank you for having me.
Rekha Magon is the founder of The Mindful Scholar. She's also the newly crowned winner of the 2018 CBC Startup Fest Pitch Contest. For more information, you can visit mindfulscholar.com. Coming up, there's a new menace in our lakes and rivers, and it's nicknamed the zombie plant. Montreal doctors are saving lives with a new device designed for the battlefield. And scientists have been wondering about the source of cosmic rays, and the answer might be a ghost particle. That's when we come back.